I've made the main center of my office the kitchen. And there's a huge table in the kitchen. Whenever anyone's working, they're all working around the kitchen because it's the only way that you're actually going to eat well.
Thanks for being with us in this longevity talk, which was a long time that I wanted to do with you.
I know you've asked me for a long time.
You know it. Why we are here talking about longevity? First, because you are a huge expert in the field of longevity.
That's very gracious of you to say so, but you're going to tell me why you think I'm a huge expert, because I don't feel like I'm a huge expert.
You know everything, all the technology coming out. You have a routine which not even, I think, probably a top athlete says. So. But in fact, the reason why I wanted to speak with you in this series about longevity is that you are, for me, the perfect representation of how you can live the kind of health and wellness philosophy and longevity philosophy still with a super busy life that you have with tens of different projects, your creativity. So is, first of all, why you feel that you need to have this routine? And why you feel that you need to be so much into this? What is the reason? And then we go into the routine and what you do, because I think it's going to be very interesting.
Okay. I think it's really important to kind of have what I call like a maintenance routine. I mean, I'm 39 now, I'm about to turn 40, and I want to be able to play physically and emotionally
the same way you were
with the same abandon and the same control as I was able to when I was 18. And I know that sounds like, you know, well, you're only, 39, 40, that's not a lot, but actually it is. When you're doing shows 5 times a week and your shows are 2 hours and 15 minutes and you're dancing up and down, and everybody else on the set list, on the bill, is, from 17 years old to, some of the biggest legends in the world, you've got to be in shape in order to forget about it all when you're on stage. So what I'm trying to get at, it's about as much conditioning as possible, whether it's in vocal care, whether it's in physical care, whether it's in health, in order to just be able to forget about it when you want to, and just to have fun, and to be able to be completely in abandon. The same way that when you study movement, and when you study singing, and when you study so many physical disciplines, we're so often trying to reconnect and recapture the instinctive, healthy mechanics of our body and the mechanical responses of our body that we have when we were, 8 months old. That's so much in Pilates, it's so much in dance, it's so much in singing. It's about spending the effort to reconnect with that 8-month-old version of your body in order to then be able to forget about it.
Very nice. This is part of the reason why you are at the top of a business which is becoming very, very difficult, right?
Well, I'm not, there's no such thing as being at the top of it. I'm not at the top of it. I'm in my own area, and that's fundamental. Find your space and really strive for excellence within that space. And really try and make sure that you stay true to what people like about you.
True. Consistent.
And also consistent, but challenging it and evolving.
Yeah, sure.
But, knowing what you represent and the area you're in and staying true to your personal principles. So it's about, I always talk about it, I say survival. Survival sometimes provokes a negative response because you suddenly start to think of, I don't know, Bette Midler in Funny Face or something, you gotta survive, this is showbiz. But it is but it is about survival.
Sure. I know you since 2 years, and one way for me to represent you is this idea of striving for excellence. So we could talk about your excellence in a lot of fields, because whatever you do is always excellent. You are always searching for all the details and excellence. But coming back to health and wellness, also there you are applying excellence. I mean, I did the training once with you. I mean, I slept for 2 days after. So you are really also in the health and wellness in our field. You are searching for the best technology, the best training. You are trying a lot of different trainers, a lot of different therapies. So again, how can you do it while you are doing all the projects that you do? So there is a routine, there is something that you do every day.
Firstly, I have fun with it. That's the pretext to all of this. And then I'll get into some of the details, but I do have fun with it. And It makes me feel good. I think that one of the best parts of all the process of kind of what I call maintenance, or we can call wellness, is having good relationships with the people that help you,
Sure.
that coach you, laughing with them, telling them when you're sad, telling them when you're happy, telling them when you're nervous. That's so important, and I really mean that. You know, not like walking into a yoga lesson where there's like 30 people and they go, "How are you?" They go, "Very well." You know, just like really being able to say to your coach, like, "I'm really bad." And they go, "Okay, let's work with that," you know? In terms of my routine, I follow the same vocal coach all over the world.
Okay.
And it's all on FaceTime. Pretty much 95% is on FaceTime.
So wherever you are, you can do
wherever
your
I
vocal
am.
coaching.
And that is why people find it really funny when I'm in Korea, he'll be, you know, in his pajamas in my dressing room. And it's before a show, I see my coach.
Okay.
And that lasts 1 hour. And that's also as much related to physical preparation as it is to psychological zoning. I think so much of it is about zoning. I need to then become the person who performs on stage. So that's one of my routines. I have 2 trainers. One is slightly older and a Tuscan kind of anarchic, anti-establishment philosopher.
Which I think I met.
Who you met.
With the elastic.
With the elastic. And everything is all based on body
That's
weight
fantastic.
and elastics. And he makes you do these weird body movements with like a drum beat that's beating. And
amazing.
whilst he's doing that, like he'll be talking to you about how the world is being controlled by some scary secret group of people. And then he'll talk to you about, you know, Machiavelli and Descartes. And I'm serious, like he'll talk to you about all those things. And that is a very specific type of training, and he makes me feel good, you know?
And this is more or less 1 hour, 1 hour 30 that you
And
do,
that's
right?
about 1 hour and 30.
Every day, more or less, especially when you're in
it's 5
Tuscany.
times a day, exactly. Okay. I have another trainer who is much younger, much more physical, much more about kind of like calisthenics, much more about body sculpting and muscle groups and things like that. And so that is another approach, and I alternate them.
Okay. Plus you do running, cycling.
And I run on average around minimum 6 kilometers.
Oof, every day.
6 times a week.
This is even when you tour, when you travel.
Absolutely. Before when I'm touring, I do about 10 to 12 kilometers a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the morning, when you wake up.
In the morning. I also ride a horse.
Yes,
and that is a very specific reason why I do that, because that's for centering. So I center myself on a horse, and if you're a horse rider, you wouldn't, you know that it has this very powerful centering kind of.
And horses are feeling, no?
Yeah,
how
exactly.
much you are centered.
And then there's a lot of other things that I do. I'm really lucky to have some of the best osteopaths that follow me.
Yeah.
The French osteopaths are much more concerned about what's happening in the gut and in the digestive system, and on the emotional side of things and the energetic side. And then my Italian osteopath, a woman called Valentina Carlisle, is probably one of the best osteopaths for performers and singers and dancers in the world.
Wow.
And she is incredible because she specializes on really high intensity performers and babies that are about 5 days old. Like really young children, young infants that need help or modifications. And that shows you the kind of woman that she is. And so that's part of what I do. Those are the people that help me.
Exactly, because then you have the machine, no? Sometimes I come back from United States, you have to try this. Simone, it's 6 months that I'm using this machine. So you also there, you are very sophisticated. You were using cryo.
I've been using cryotherapy since for ages.
Plus, you are doing also from this point of view in terms of machine, you are using a lot of them, right?
Yeah, so I've been doing cryotherapy for a long time. My resistance now to cryotherapy is quite intense. And of course, food is really important.
Yes, let's talk quickly about food, because this is also something where you are very sophisticated. in your regime.
I find it funny that you say it's sophisticated because
sophisticated in the longevity side, in the sense that you know very
but
well.
But so much of it comes from just like Lebanese grandmother kind of talk, or my mother. You know, this idea that you make your stocks.
Sure.
That your vegetable stock or your fish stock.
Which is what you do, by the way.
Yes,
no?
of course.
The soup that you do are legendary.
I do my stocks. You know, if I'm home, I'll do my stocks every week and I'll alternate them. I'll roast, you know, I'll roast the vegetables, then make the stock. And they're really fundamental things. I'll soak the beans and the legumes. I've made the main center of my office the kitchen. And there's a huge table in the kitchen. Whenever anyone's working, they're all working around the kitchen because it's the only way that you're actually going to eat well. The only way. So that you can also go and eat really badly and have a lot of fun doing it, you know. That's also really fun. It's great to go and have fried chicken. It's not about not doing things.
Sure.
That's the fundamental principle. It's about being healthy most of the time, and enabling your body to handle stresses and then going for it.
But the example is the sweet. Last time you told me 1 sweet per day. Whatever it is, just 1 sweet per day, right?
Yeah, 1 sweet per day. Exactly. You got
this is an example, not no sweet, but just one.
Just one.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But it really is about that. It's about understanding what your baseline is. And having a really healthy baseline.
Supplement? Are you using supplement?
Yeah, I am. I mean,
so you believe that it's important also to supplement the nutrition with that?
Absolutely. I mean, just going back in these past few, let's say, just in the last 2 years, I've had COVID 5 times.
Oof, this I didn't know.
Yeah, 5 times. And I just found out this morning that I had it a month and a half ago, again. And everyone told me I didn't have it, and all the tests were negative, but the blood test showed that I had it. So, you know, just that also kind of readjusted the way that, you know, when I was coming out of COVID every single time, and one time I ended up in hospital with it, and they put me on Paxlovid. And so getting out of that, I was like, ooh, what do I do? And so, you know, it's really opened up my head to the world of supplements, like in a way that was kind of quite, it's changed my view on what supplements are. And that supplements change, you know, the old idea that you walk into the pharmacy or to the health food shop and you buy your multivitamin and, you know, your zinc thing, and that's what you take all year round, that's gone. That's like over. We need to think of a completely new way of taking supplements. You need to be able to say, okay, for these 2 months, I'm going to take this. But now we're in a different season. I'm going to take this. Or my body is okay now, I can take this. But also things like if I'm going to travel a lot, I carry around with me this clay. So I have my little bag of salt, I have my vitamins, I have my bag of clay, and there's this volcanic clay, and it's actually quite interesting because it's very detoxifying, and it gets rid of a lot of things in your body, especially when you've been flying and traveling a lot on long-haul trips. But it's important to not kind of find supplements boring, and that they can actually help you a lot.
Yeah, which is the problem of the people. Sometimes they start to take and then they forget to take it, and then they don't feel immediately the results, so they stop taking it. It's something that you have to be very consistent supplement. Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's it, and it kind of pays off over time. And but also
exactly.
that there are things that can help you. That you don't have to take for your whole life. You can just take them for 2 months.
Sure, absolutely.
So, and I like the CLP supplements. I think they're really good, and I've been using them, as you know, because you sent them to me, and I got hooked on them, and now you have a good client, which is really smart. But I'm going to get you hooked on this clay.
Yes. I have to tell you that I'm using it myself.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, especially when you have like a certain moment where the stomach, you feel that it's not perfect, to detox and purify. I agree.
Exactly.
It's amazing. Let's move 1 second about more the spiritual part. You have talked 2 or 3 times about alignment, and we had a few years ago an experience together that we continue to do when you need it, and which is transcendental meditation. You feel this is another technique that you would recommend for staying aligned and
Yeah, I think
trying to reduce stress, which is also again part of, I guess, a very important part of your life.
Whenever I'm in a really, really bad place, okay, whenever something really, really bad has happened, my first response is to breathe.
To breathe.
When someone passes away, my first response is to breathe. When I'm standing in the back of a trailer and I've got to go out on stage and I'm playing before someone else and the act is big, way bigger than me, right? And I know that all the people there are the other band's fans. I'm sitting there before I walk on stage and I breathe.
Sure.
Because it's so important. So transcendental meditation, it gives you a sense of detachment. It makes you feel weirdly okay with everything around you. It makes you feel less competitive, but more willing to be excellent.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
It's the weirdest thing. And I think spirituality is similar in that when you feel grounded, you know, people who like to go to church, for example, who go to temple, like, you know, or they feel after that kind of exercise and after that kind of experience, like, again, they're more detached, but they're more open and empathetic. And that's what I feel when I have those moments, like whether it's breathing, whether it's meditation, or whether it's music that takes me somewhere like that. I feel like everything just comes down a little bit. Like everything is just a little bit less hyped and a little bit more real and more reasonable. And that kind of brings me on to what's the point of all of this? What's the point of sitting in a bath with 4, sometimes 6 kilos of salt? What's the point of, you know, slopping glasses of that clay every day? What's the point of taking all these supplements? Some of them simple, some of them super kind of incredibly refined and expensive, like yours, but they're brilliant. But why do we do all this stuff? Why do we sit there and, you know, in a cold tank or in a cold bath? I think, for me, it's not about living as long as possible.
Yeah.
I really, really don't think so. I think it's about, like I said before, in a very technical way, having a really healthy, tolerant baseline. So when the stresses hit, and they will always hit, whether it's sadness, whether it's stress, work, or whether it's just fun, you know, you'll be able to handle it and recuperate faster, or a little bit faster. But also it's about spirit. It's about that kind of spirit that you have when you're a teenager, being able to access that when you are 40 years old. It's about that physicality and about that kind of bounciness that you have when you are 4, being able to access that when you're 40 or 50. And it's also about your attitude. It all goes back to the way that you kind of like, you know, look at the world and the way you respond to the world. And to be able to respond with a lightness of spirit is very much related to wellness. If anything, it's the fundamental thing.
Yes.
It all goes down to attitude. It all goes down to the way you respond to the world around you and the way you interpret the world around you. And I think that's the most important thing. Because whether something happens to me and I'm gone in a week, or, you know, or whether I'm gone in like 30 years, I still want to make sure that in that week or in that 30 years, like the spirit is in a good place, that it's bouncy. That it waves and it bends and it responds and it has fun and it's cheeky and it cries and it laughs. And maybe by doing that I can also stay soft, you know, which is really, really important, staying soft. And so it's about that. It's about...
And bring some of this attitude to the world around you, which is what you do.
At least bring it on stage, or bring it in front of, and, you know, bring it in front of a camera, or in what I write, or in what I play. When I say write, I mean, you know, lyrics and music, and I also think that also will fundamentally, if I can figure that out, and I haven't figured it out, it's always a process, but if I can figure that out, then maybe maybe what I do will be better as well.
Sure. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.